Hi, this is Karma. In this video, I want to show you how to resize images, but keep the file structure that you've already created to organize your photos. There are many tutorials out there that show you how to batch resize images, but they place everything into one large folder. In this video, I want to show you how to retain file structure and multiple folders and still be able to resize a bunch of images in a short period of time. It's not a batch process per se, but it certainly is an automated process that really speeds up the entire time it takes to resize hundreds of images. Let's start with talking about my file structure first. I've taken a lot of images of our travels in Mexico, and I've organized the images by location, as you see via these folders. If I go inside one of these folders, I've placed images that I want to share on the website, which is why I'm resizing these images. They're inside this folder. Then I've created a resize folder. When I do this process inside Photoshop, all the new resized images will be placed inside this resize folder. So I've created that empty folder before I start this process. One more thing to note, which is not in effect for this particular folder because I only have one portrait image, so I'll just do that inside Photoshop. However, if I have multiple portrait images and still want to do this as an automated process, I'll move those portrait images into its own folder. To show you this, I'm going to go through another folder. This one has subfolders again of locations, so let's go inside this location. And here's an example of I have a number of landscape images with a resized folder. In addition, I have this portrait folder. So I've moved any portrait images that I want to resize inside this folder. And then that portrait folder also has an empty resized folder. Again, this is where the resized images will be placed when I do this process inside Photoshop automatically. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about the folder structure, just comment below and I'll try and get back to you and answer those questions. That's how I've organized my images. Now I want to resize all these images. I'm just going to show you a couple of folders. I've done a number of them already. So back inside Photoshop, I've opened up an image already that I want to resize. I've also created these actions over here inside the action window. If you have questions about creating an action, comment below. I'll do another video to show you how to do that. But I've created these actions already. These actions is simply to resize an image to the proportions I put in there. So I want all my images to either be 1200 wide or 1200 in height. So I have two actions that do this. Here's a resize portrait, or here's a resize landscape. This is a landscape image. And when we create these actions, again, if you have questions about how I created these, comment below and I'll create another video. When I created these actions, it already specified where I want to save this. However, as I move through this file structure, just to bring this back up to show you, this location will change. This one is inside the Celestine folder, so I want all these images to go inside here. But if I'm inside, say, the Sisal, let me not do that. Well, I can do that one folder. I want all the images to go inside this one, not inside the previous one. So I need to change in Photoshop. I need to change where this file is saved once I move to a new folder. To do that, I'm just going to simply click on this line where it says where it specifies where I'm going to be saving. I'm going to double click that to open that up. It opens up the folder where I want to save this. Since I'm doing these images right now, I'm going to click on the resize and click save. Now it's going to actually save this image for now, but I'm only doing this so I can change this location where these images are going to be saved. Okay, now I'm going to go back inside Photoshop and do File Open. I'm going to open all those images inside this folder. Go back up one level. I'm going to shift click to here. I have this portrait image I'm going to do by itself, so I'm not going to choose that one for now. And then control click these here. Notice also these images. I have some that are like 16 by 9 and some are like 4 by 3. That part doesn't matter to me. I just want all these landscapes to go to 1200 wide. So open all these images. Again, there may be a batch way of doing this and where you can change where you're saving these. This is what I came up with to do it for now. Now simply for each of the images I'm going to run this action. So I'm going to close this up for now. And inside the action I'm already doing the file close, so I need to simply click this play. Again, I have my landscape action, resize action selected, and then click play for this image. It resizes and saves it. I'm going to click on this arrow for each image that's open. Because the close action is already inside the saved action, it closes each file after it resizes it. And now I have those, I don't know how many there were, 15 to 20 images. Quickly done. Now if I go back to my file structure, go inside the folder we just did, here's all my resized images. Now the one image I didn't do is this one here. I can simply open that inside Photoshop. Whoops, I didn't do that right. And go and run the portrait action. Let me do one other example really quick. We're going to go to a different folder that has actually portraits to do. I need to do this inside Photoshop. Open. Navigate to the folder I want to do this on. Select all these images, open. Now again, right now this action is saving it back to the previous folder. I need to change that first. I'm going to open up this action, double click on where it specifies where to save this, and change it to go inside the resize folder. Click save. Collapse that action, then highlight that action. Again, I'm going to run this action on all of the opened images. And just with a click of a button, each image is resized to the parameters that I have selected. I'm going to do one more folder, and that's inside the portrait images of this folder. Open up these two images. Expand my resized option. I need to go to the portrait. This is the portrait image, so let me expand the portrait action. Click save. And now run the portrait action for resizing this image. And one more time for the other portrait. Now they're both saved. Now just to double check this, if I go to my file structure, go inside my resize, there's the resized, and if I scroll over one of these in Hangout, notice it's 1200 by 900, perfect. And if I go to my portrait, resized, and that one is 1200 high by 900 wide. And just to clarify, these are much larger, 3000 by 4000 some, and the original landscapes are at least also 4000 by 3000. Okay, so that's how you can still set up an action inside Photoshop to automate the process of resizing an image and retain your file structure. Now if you're opening hundreds of images, you probably want to go a step further and see if you can automate the changing of where the images are saved. There's probably a way to automate that entire process as well. But for these, I just had maybe a couple hundred images I needed to do. This was a quick way to do it and retain my file structure and resize images, each image just with a click of a button. If you have any questions or comments, comment below. And that's it.